Lecture, I am going to start new topic of the PRPC. PRPC stands for Petroleum Refining and Petrochemicals. So let's start new topic of the PRPC. Chapter name is Basics of the Petroleum and topic name is Classification and Evaluation of the Crude Oil. So you can see first point is classification of crude oil. First of all, you should know crude oil. In last lecture I told you that crude oil is nothing but rock oil, which consists of the various hydrocarbons. And hydrocarbons is nothing but alkane, alkene and alkyne, like this. After that, next point is the hydrocarbons found in petroleum are classified into the following types. These are nothing but classification of the crude oil. So first point is paraffins. First type is paraffins, that is nothing but alkane, and molecular formula, or I can say general formula for the paraffins is nothing but CnH2n plus 2. So these are nothing but saturated hydrocarbons with straight and branched chain, but without any ring structure. Okay, if there is a straight chain, or I can say if there is absence of the ring structure, I can call that compound is paraffin. That should be saturated hydrocarbons. Okay. After that, you can see saturated hydrocarbons means there is a single bond, okay, between the various components, or I can say various molecules present in the compounds. After that, next point is cycloparaffins, and general formula for that is CnH2n. I can say naphthenes, means naphthenes is nothing but cycloparaffins. Okay, these are nothing but saturated hydrocarbons. Again, it is contain only single bond. After that, it containing one or more rings, means this compound contains some ring. Okay. After that, you can see each of which may have one or more paraffins side chains, also known as alicyclic hydrocarbons. First of all, you should know paraffins means there is a no chain is involved. Whenever there is a chain involved, that compound is known as the cycloparaffin. Okay. After that, you can see next type is aromatics. Now aromatics means there is a presence of chain. Okay. So you can see general formula for the aromatics, that is CnH2n minus 6. Okay, and this means hydrocarbons containing one or more aromatics nuclei such as benzene, naphthalene and phenolphthalein ring system that may be linked up with the substitute naphthalene rings or paraffin side chains. Means according to aromatics which containing more than one nuclei of the aromatics. Okay, and this contains of the various rings and linked up with the naphthalene rings, or I can say paraffin side chains. Means there is a ring is present as well as there is a various side chains also present over the carbon atoms of the rings. Okay, this is related to the aromatics. Next point is paraffins. Now these are the important points related to the paraffins. Now we will see some important points related to the paraffins. You can see on the screen. According to paraffin, first point is carbon atoms connected by a single bond. Other bonds are saturated with hydrogen. After that, naphthenes. Important point is ringed paraffin, or I can say cycloparaffin. Whenever there is a ring form of the paraffin, that is nothing but cycloparaffin. Okay, and straight change paraffin means that is paraffins only. And whenever there is a cycle, or I can say ringed paraffins, that known as the cycloparaffins, or I can say naphthenes. And second important point is all bonds saturated with hydrogens. Okay, in paraffins only one bond is saturated with hydrogen. After that, you can see aromatics. Important point is, first point is 6 carbon rings multiple bonding, means there will be 6 carbon rings. After that, all bonds are unsaturated, means they are linked with the double bond. Okay, that is nothing but unsaturated compounds. After that, olefins, next type of the various crude oil, that is nothing but olefins. First point related to the olefin. Okay, that is nothing but usually olefins not in crude oil formed during the processing. Means whenever we are extracting an oil, that is nothing but a rock oil or crude oil. Initial composition of that rock oil or crude oil is not content of the olefins. Olefins are formed during the processing of the any paraffin, or I can say any aromatics. After that, at least 2 carbon atoms connected by the double bonds, that known as the olefin. So these are the important points related to the olefins. After that, you can see this is the general figure for the olefins. Now we will see next topic of this lecture, that is evaluation of the crude oil, or I can say petroleum products and petrochemicals. So first point related to this evaluation of crude oil is indigenous or important crude oils are being processed in India for production of the gasoline, diesel, kerosene and lube oil. Okay, wax feedstock for the petrochemical industry like naphtha and kerosene. So this is nothing but important point related to the evaluation of the crude oil. After that, various sources of the indigenous crude oil. So these are the sources. First one you can see Assam crude. In India we are getting crude from the Assam crude. After that, Bombay High and satellite fields, North Gujarat and Ankleshwar. Followed by KG Basin, Rawa crude and Kaveri Basin crude. After that, Rajasthan crude. These are nothing but various sources of the indigenous crude. Means all these are nothing but Indian crude sources. Okay, after this slide I will explain you some important sources that is not present in India. Means we are imported crude oil from the other countries as well. But before that you should know what are the indigenous crude oil sources. So this is the list. This question is important for your exam for 3 marks. Enlist all the sources of the indigenous crude. So this is the list. First one is Assam crude, followed by Bombay High. After that, North Gujarat and Ankleshwar. After that, KG Basin and Rawa crude. After that, Kaveri and Rajasthan crude. So you should know all these important sources, that is nothing but Indian sources. After that, we will see now some other countries' sources, that is nothing but sources of imported crude are. So first one is Arab mix. These are nothing but Arab crude oil. After that, Lavan blend, followed by Upper Zakum, Iran mix, Dubai, Kuwait crude, Suez mix and Zed Bay. So in this imported crude, major countries are nothing but Middle East countries, and we are imported all this crude oil from the Middle East countries. Okay. After that, last one is the Cuba. Lastly, now we will see some important points related to the crude oil evaluation. So first point related to the crude oil evaluation is quality of crude being processed effect. Okay. Followed by plant capacity. So these are the important parameter which should be considered during the crude oil evaluation. First of all, you should know the quality of the crude which is being processed. After that, plant capacity. After that, feedstock means percentage of the various alkane or alkene, means whatever the percentage of the hydrocarbons present in the feedstock. You should know feedstock availability and quality for the downstream units. Means you should know compositions of the feed. Then after that, product pattern, means what amount of the product is generating from the processing, or I can say refining unit, what types of the product is generating. You should know all those things. After that, overall economies, means after generation of the various products, or I can say byproducts from the petroleum plant, you should know the overall economics, or I can say overall cost of the plant. Now we will see some important parameters which are very important to analyze the product quality. So you can see significant effect on a processing scheme and product pattern effect of change in the crude quality. So first one is change of the product pattern. Second one is change of the processing scheme. Third one is economics. Fourth one is effluent quality. Okay, so all these parameters are important to analyze the crude oil quality. Now we will quickly revise what we have seen in this lecture. So first of all, I explain you related to the classification of the crude oil. I told you that crude oil is nothing but rock oil. Okay, after that, classification is nothing but there are various paraffins, olefins, naphthens are involved. First of all, there is a paraffin. Okay, after that, I told you the general formula for the paraffin. All these important topics you have studied in 11th and 12th class. Okay, so these are the basic for petrochemicals. Okay, or I can say the petroleum refining and petrochemicals. So you should know the classification of the crude, means feedstock of the crude, that is a consist of the hydrocarbon. Okay, and those hydrocarbons are nothing but paraffin, olefins, naphthens, cycloparaffins, and all these are nothing but types of the crude. Okay, so first of all, there is the paraffin. After that, there is the cycloparaffin. After that, aromatics. After that, there is important points related to the paraffins. So all these are the important classification of the crude oil, and this question is important for the 3 to 5 marks in your final examination. Question may be asked like this: enlist the various types of the crude oil and explain all these types in detail. Okay, so you have to write here paraffins, olefins, aromatics and cycloparaffins. These are the important points you can see on the screen. I already discussed with you these important points, that is the carbon atoms connected by the single bond, other bonds are saturated with the hydrogen. After that, naphthenes. Naphthenes means cycloparaffins. In paraffin, all the carbon atoms are present in the straight chain, but in naphthenes, all these carbon atoms are present in the cycle form. That is nothing but cycloparaffin. These are also known as the paraffin, but in the cycle form. That's why it is known as the cycloparaffin, means paraffin present in the ring form. Okay, but there is no unsaturated compound is present. All the bonds are saturated. Single bonds are present between all the molecules. After that, aromatics means there is unsaturated compounds present. Okay, means there is first of all there will be rings. Okay, 6 carbon rings. After that, there will be unsaturated compounds present, means all bonds are unsaturated. All carbon atoms are unsaturated. After that, olefins. I discussed with you olefins as well. So olefins is nothing but it is not, means generally not a composition in a composition of the feedstock. Yes, it is not a component of the initial feedstock, but these olefins are formed during the processing of the feedstock. So these are the important parameters related to the olefins. After this, we have seen the evaluation of the crude oil. In this important topic, I explain you related to the indigenous and imported crude oil. In this topic, I explain you some important sources of the indigenous crude and exported crude. So first of all, you can see these are the Indian crude. You should know all this list. Assam crude, Bombay High. After that, North Gujarat, Ankleshwar, Kaveri Basin and Rajasthan crude. After that, last point we have seen in this lecture, that is imported crude, means crude which we have imported from the Middle East countries. That is nothing but Arab mix followed by the Lavan blend, Upper Zakum, Iran mix, Dubai, Kuwait crude, Suez mix and Suez Bay. Last we have seen the Weibo. So all these are the important sources of the crude oil. Last we have seen the crude oil evaluation, means in the evaluation, in the calculation of the overall processing of the crude oil, in which you should know the quality of the crude being processed effect. After that, you should know the plant capacity, followed by you should know the feedstock availability. After that, quality of the feedstock, or I can say quality of the downstream units. And lastly, you should know the product patterns. And lastly, you should know the overall cost of the plant. So all these are the important parameters you should know while the writing answer for the evaluation of the crude oil. Okay, so in this lecture, I have explained you related to the classification and evaluation of the crude oil. In upcoming lecture, I will discuss with you next topic of the